Good morning, everyone. We're just going to give people a few more minutes, maybe about 2 more minutes to come online, and then we'll get started. Thanks so much for your patience. Okay, I think we can start. Good morning, everyone. My name is Dory Estrada. I am the Community and Economic Development Coordinator with the City of Hyattsville. Thank you for joining us online this morning for this webinar. We will be discussing the grant process for the Commercial Facade Improvement Grant, which is opening next week on April 4th. Just a quick welcome. Today we have Kim DeTato from DeafReach joining us online to do ASL interpretation. Thank you, Kim, for being here. And also online is Taylor Roby, our city planner, and I believe Jim Chandler, our Director of Community and Economic Development, will be online as well. So we're going to go through some slides. First, just about background of this grant, and then you'll have a chance to ask some questions. And we'll open up the floor. Oh, good morning, Jim. Do you want to say any words of welcome before we get started?
Good morning, everyone. I'll be brief. Apologize. Took a couple different attempts to get into the meeting. Wanted to thank everyone for being here this morning. We hope that the session will be helpful. And I know some of the folks here are familiar with the CFI program. And so we're going to provide you with a nice overview. Certainly, if you have questions that come up, let us know. And what we'll do is at the end of this session, we'll go back and we'll answer more specific questions. And so thank you. And Dory, you can get started. And I appreciate everyone's attendance.
Thank you, Jim. Yes, just a quick reminder to everyone, if you have questions during the session, please write them in the chat. We'll be addressing them in the Q&A session at the end. And this meeting is being recorded, so all of the slides and this presentation's recording will be available on the city's website afterwards. All right, so I will just share my screen. Okay, so Commercial Facade Improvement Grant. Sorry. So this grant has been established with the city since 2011. This is an economic development strategy to help with revitalization in our city's commercial corridors. So the goal of this program is that it works to revitalize and sustain the economic vitality of the city in our various commercial districts through this combination of public and private investment in commercial properties. And we really want to use this funding mechanism to improve the overall aesthetic, the beautification, and kind of functionality of our built environment here in Hyattsville. So we pulled this really nice quote from the city of Minneapolis that neighborhood business districts are the front.
Dory, I'm sorry to interrupt. I was just looking at the chat and I think Mark is having a hard time seeing me.
Okay, let me make
Sorry
sure I've
to interrupt.
spotlighted you. And let me put the view here. Sorry, just one moment. Thanks for letting me know that. I'll just stop sharing for 1 second.
Mark, if he swipes his screen, it might be the view he's on where you can view a single individual or you can view multiple individuals.
Okay, give me 1 second, Jim. I just want to make sure you can see me now. I'm so sorry.
No
Or do you want
problem.
to write that in the chat? So he should be able to modify his view to see all presenters at once. So if he's on an Apple device, it's swiping. If it's on a standard device, there's an option, I think in the top right corner. He can modify the view.
Yep. So Kim and myself should be spotlighted when I screen share. I'm going to share the presentation again. And I believe everyone should be able to see both of us. Let's try that again. All right. Can everyone see myself and Kim?
I see 2 pages of the presentation. So I see a notes page and I see the main page that you're on. So it's showing a preview of the next slide.
Okay. Let's see here. Still speaker view. Okay. Should be able to do side by side speaker view. Okay. I'm gonna just try to remove the spotlight for 1 second and spotlight Kim again. Kim should be spotlighted as the main speaker. Share. Oops, sorry.
Okay, yes, Kim's the main speaker.
Yeah, I should be able to share the presentation so everybody can. Oops.
I think you have it.
Good. Can everyone
Yep.
see the slides in full mode now with Kim as the main speaker? Yes?
I think so.
Yes. Okay, great. Thank you guys.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry for the technical difficulties, but thanks for your patience. Okay, so we were talking about the front door policy. So we pulled this quote which says that neighborhood business districts are the front doors of our neighborhoods. So a welcoming, vibrant business district sends a powerful and positive message, whereas a poorly maintained or vacant row of storefronts conveys a negative impression. So we want to have a positive impression in our community about our business district, and that is what CFI is all about. So to begin with, just to give some background of the program guidelines, this grant is a 50% match grant, which has a minimum request of $5,000. If you are not the owner of the building, this grant requires consent from the property owner for you to participate. We'll go over that in a few minutes. The funding for this grant will cover the cost of exterior facade improvements only. So that includes things like masonry repair, windows, doors and awnings replacement, lighting, and signage. This cannot be used for roof repairs or anything internal inside the building. So this is really just for external repairs. And your property has to be zoned in one of our commercial districts, and that would be either in the Route 1 corridor, Hyattsville Crossing, which is PG Plaza, University Town Center, or West Hyattsville. So it can be any of these commercial areas. And applicants are required to collect 3 bids from licensed contractors prior to making a selection, prior to being selected for the grant. So you need to have 3 different bids for your project. So we'll go through a couple of these examples really quickly. I just wanted to show you photos of kind of before and after of how commercial facade has really been shaping the face of Hyattsville. So just some popular locations down in the Route 1 corridor. Franklin's Restaurant was a recipient of this grant. And this was quite something, how they revitalized the exterior of their building. The work included adding new signage and lighting and this LED kinetic mural, or LED signing, and this kinetic mural that is pretty popular when you're driving down Route 1. So they received a pretty large award from the city for that work. Other examples include Vigilante Coffee. I think you can see what a transformation this building has gone through. And this, remains a very popular coffee shop down in the Route 1 corridor. They basically, removed some bricked up windows. They installed new awnings and lighting and signage to really give this building a whole new face. Other examples are Sangford Distillery. You can just see what a transformation this building went through in terms of redoing its signing, lighting, and painting the building. This is quite a transformation at the building at 4800 Rhode Island Avenue. This is a former auto glass shop. And I think this is quite something how they converted the roll-up windows. They made them operable as glass doors, and they did some electric and exterior lighting work as well as painting. The Sohai Arts Building is one of our most colorful examples of commercial facade on Route 1. This involved a lot of exterior treatments and a metal awning, as well as trim work around the edge of the building. Shortcake Bakery was also a recipient. Their grant award allowed them to redo their windows, give a nice pink coat of paint, so that really pops, add new signage and lighting to their building as well. And Artworks Now and Pizzeria Paradiso are also a beneficiary of this grant. Their combined space is from the old March florist location, and you can see that they've done a total transformation, installing windows, some masonry work, and lighting and signage. So I'll just kind of skip ahead. Oh, well, of course, since Streetcar 82 is online with us, I would be amiss to forget them. So they also were a recipient of this grant, who has installed operable garage doors, a new entry door, exterior lighting, masonry, and paint for this building at 4824 Rhode Island Avenue. Yeah, so I'll just go ahead and kind of skip through. You can sort of see the before and after from Will's Decorating, which is one of our recent grant recipients. Javi Coffee, which has installed a new awning so people can sit outside comfortably. And the new mural that a lot of people have seen at Maryland Reed Works was also a beneficiary of this grant. So to sum it all up, since this program has been running, over $489,000 grant dollars have been invested in this program. And that's a private investment of over $651,000 and a total investment of over $1.1 million. This has activated 8 formally vacant properties. It's created over 100 jobs, and it's helped, relocate or create a new business at 8 different locations. And so far, we've improved over 2,300 feet of improved facade in the city of Hyattsville. And we hope to keep going. So I just would like to walk everyone through the application process. Of our 2 grants in the city, this one is a little bit more detailed, but we'll just go through step by step what you would need to do if you are considering submitting an application for this cycle. So the first is that we highly encourage you, and really a requirement, is to closely read all of the guidelines document. There's a link in this presentation, and this document is available online on the city's website under the Hyattsville Grants for Businesses section. So please download and read all of that form, or all of that document. The next step would be to download the application form, which is a Microsoft Word document that is 5 pages long. And if you are a lease owner, not an owner, but a lease tenant of the building, you'll need to get a signed statement of permission from the owner. There is a template of this in the application form so that you have the consent of the building owner to undertake a commercial facade project. Following that, you would need to decide on the means of your cash match, depending on how much you're requesting. This can be in the form of a loan or private equity. I'll cover that in just a moment, but depending on how much capital your business has, you could either start with a small project or try to seek a loan. There's actually a list we can kind of direct you to from our small business resources guide so that you could give the means of match to be able to apply for this grant. And then this is a really important step. You'll have to get in touch with 3 different contractors for your proposed project. From them, you'll need to ask for an itemized price quote and see their cost estimate of all of the work that you're planning on doing. This is required so that you will get the best deal, of course, to price compare, and we'll need to see, that list of contractors in your application. Next is that you will need to take photos of your building's exterior facade, and simultaneously you'll need to ask your selected contractor for a conceptual or architectural rendering of your proposed work. It doesn't have to be so complicated. It can be, a sketch of where new windows will go, but that is something that we will require with your application. You'll need to send or obtain a copy of your company's W-9 form, your tax ID form, and then you'll need to complete and sign our application. It's really important that you sign it. And the submission date will be by 5:00 p.m. on Friday, June 3rd. We are accepting applications via email this year. So to give you some more background, I ran through that list of funded projects pretty quickly, but please do take a look at the CFI story map that's on our website. This will go into more detail about the previously funded facade projects in Hyattsville and kind of give you an overview of the types of building transformations that have been funded in the past. And we have also put together, with the help of Green Owl, a commercial design guidebook. This is an excellent resource for you to have a look at as you're putting together your application, because it gives you some inspiration about things like signage and awnings and lighting, with some price estimates about if you use a certain kind of material, how much will that cost? So as you're thinking about putting together your budget and your match dollars, it would be really important for you to have a look at this to have a picture of how much things will cost. So just to go through a couple frequently asked questions before we open it up for a general Q&A. So pricing, for first of all, we get the question, how much do I need to budget for? Like we said, things like signage and lighting can vary greatly in terms of their costs. So please do have a look at that guidebook for some estimates. Now, we sometimes get asked if the city has recommendations for contractors. We do keep an informal list of service providers, and this is available on request, but this is certainly not an endorsement of one company over another. And we do advise you to do your own research when you're obtaining bids. We would encourage you to shop locally. It's great to support our local businesses in doing this work. But of course, we understand that you are price comparing, and that is to your own discretion of who you select for the job. So back to this question about if you don't have a lot of capital for the match, can you still apply? Yes. So one thing you could do is consider a smaller project of around $5,000 to do some kind of basic improvement, like a new sign or a lighting installation. But if you are seeking a loan, we actually have a list of different loans that are specifically targeted for our section of Prince George's County for revitalization efforts. And those are listed in our newly updated small business resources guide. If you haven't looked at this, I would really encourage you to have a look. There are a very extensive list of different financial support mechanisms for small businesses. And in there, you will find a list of applicable small business loans that could help you secure the capital needed to make this match for this grant. And we also get asked, can you double dip by using another grant to meet the match requirement? Yes, you can. In fact, we will even allow you to apply for the city's corridor improvement program. This is our other grant that we host from the city, which will open in May. And you could apply the business development stream funding of $5,000 to match your CFI. This is a great way to kind of, help you meet that match, and actually everything would come out of the city, which is great for you. But you can only do this if you've never received funding through the city before, and that would mean your total budget would be $10,000. So definitely consider that if you've never applied to either CFI or CIP before in the past. Okay, so I know we ran through that pretty quickly, but we'd like to open it up for some general questions and comments. I will stop sharing. And again, these slides, this has been recorded and these slides will be made available to you after we close the session today. So I know we had one question in the chat about, are nonprofits eligible? Jim, correct me if I'm wrong, but yes, nonprofits should be eligible to apply for this, correct?
They are. So we don't really define eligibility based on nonprofit or for-profit. It's based on whether or not the establishment is a commercial business. And so Kate, in your case with Pyramid, it is a building that is open for commercial business. Certainly the city owns that building and leases it to Pyramid. So any award would be made to Pyramid. We couldn't award ourselves funds, and it would require the city's consent on the application. But I've reviewed our guidelines, which are a mirror image of state eligibility, state of Maryland, where that is our funding source. I don't see anything here that would preclude us making an award, but what I call out to Maryland DHCD just to confirm that. But I'll let you know once I get that answer. I suspect the answer is yes, but we would need to award those funds to Pyramid. We couldn't award them to ourselves.
Thank you. Are there other questions? Please type your question in the chat, or we can turn on your mic. Maybe quickly, oh, okay. What is the timeline of grant expenditures? Good question. So we do ask that every project be completed within 1 year. Typically, so the deadline for this will be June 3rd. We typically try to get the awards approved by City Council by the end of the summer. And in the best case scenario, funding would be dispersed in the fall for you to start your project. That is contingent on you and your contractor signing all of the documentation on time and paying the match fee also in time before you get a notice to proceed from the city. We typically ask that all projects be completed by June 30th. 1 year, yep, exactly. Okay, Mark is asking, what about businesses who received facade money before? Can you do it again? Our building has received facade improvement before we had signed on the lease. Jim, could you take that one?
Yeah, so Mark, the answer is yes, we have. And certainly you took possession of the building after the city completed, the previous owner had completed some facade improvements with the city's funding. So yes, certainly we would want to understand the scope of what improvements are being made. But certainly there's nothing that would make your application ineligible. Part of the program is to incentivize reinvestment back into these commercial properties. So I wouldn't see any reason, provided that the proposed improvements are permitted by our program, we would certainly consider reviewing them for recommendations for approval.
You. Maybe just while we're seeing if other people have questions, I wanted to show everyone what the application form looks like. Well, first of all, it is here on the city's website. So when you come to the City of Hyattsville website, you're just going to click on Business Development, Grants for Hyattsville Businesses, and you'll be brought to this page. And commercial facade improvement is right here at the top. Here are, here's the application form, the guidelines document. We'll update the presentation here. And this is the commercial facade design guidebook that we were referring to that will really help you kind of target your pricing when you're talking to contractors. And here's the story map showing different projects that have taken place in the past and where they are located in Hyattsville. And just to show quickly the application form. So this is here as a Word document. Like I said, it is 5 pages long. So you'll just need to fill out your business information, specify the type of improvement you're looking to do. It can be multiple of these categories. So it can be windows and masonry and signage, for example. This is that question we're asking about if you own or lease the building. And if you do lease it, there's a statement of permission on page 5. And some questions about how long you've been a tenant, if the property is vacant, how long it's been vacant, and the estimated square feet lease rate after the building is improved. Us asking you about the match and how you are going to meet that. And some information if you're securing a loan. And if you are planning to hire employees after making this improvement, we'd like to know that as well. And here's where you will list the 3 contractors that you are selecting. And this is just the final checklist to make sure you have everything in order. There's that statement of permission here. The last page is just for our internal review only.
A question that we sometimes receive is what the transaction process is. And so just for folks who have not gone through the CFI program before, what we do is we have a CFI agreement. It's fairly straightforward. It is intended to protect you as the business or property owner to ensure that the work is completed to your satisfaction. And so it holds the contractor accountable for completing the work, but it also provides the contractor with certainty that the funds are available. And so the city has what's called a purchase order. So that is a legally binding payment that is due to the contractor under the terms of the agreement. And so as we're executing the agreement, whatever funds that you as the applicant are responsible for, you will provide to the city. The city holds those funds, and as the work is complete, will disperse payments. For instance, if your project is $10,000, you're responsible for, say, $5,000. The city is responsible for the other $5,000. We issue a $10,000 purchase order. We allow the contractor to draw a certain percentage of funds for a material draw, depending on the type of work, obviously. If it's doors and windows and things that require a substantial deposit, maybe
You might think you're breaking up just a little bit.
And then 30 days after the work is completed, we issue a final invoice to the contractor. So things go relatively smoothly once the project is started. Certainly, it's important, one, that you find a contractor who is licensed and insured. The other recommendation I have is certainly do your homework when it comes to contractors and ensuring that they're available to perform your work. We understand right now there is pretty significant lead time on certain materials. I think it's important to make sure everyone has a reasonable expectation when these projects are to be completed, and certainly try to minimize as best we can any delays that occur throughout the project. But as Dory said earlier, our goal is to have projects completed by the end of June the following year. There are circumstances where that's not possible for a variety of reasons. So there is the ability to amend agreements. We try not to do that because it does complicate things and takes a little bit more administrative work. But what we'll do is, once we get to a point where funds have been awarded and we sit down with the contractor and scope out the project, at that point we'll determine what's a reasonable project timeline, which will be reflected in your CFI agreement.
Thank you, Jim. Yeah, I think that was some really important background on that. Maybe some of you are wondering, is it worth it? There is a lot involved in this grant. I think as someone who has kind of observed how these other projects have changed the shape of our community, I would say it absolutely is worth it for you to consider applying for this. An investment in your building's exterior will be a long-term investment in the overall growth and image of your business. And we truly believe that will lead to a lot of positive growth for you all over time. And it really does shape the look and feel and approachability of your business. So we would be very happy, to have you apply. If you feel that you're not ready, we often encourage people that you think about it. This grant is an annual grant, and it can take some time to find contractors and decide on the right direction for your improvements that you're seeking to make. So there may be some of you online who are considering applying next year, and that is also fine. Do we have other questions from the audience about the application process? So just as a reminder, the application will open next week on April 4th. It is available online now, but we wouldn't start accepting them until then. And the deadline will be June 3rd at 5 p.m. and you'll be submitting them via email. All those details are available in the application form. Yep, thanks so much, Taylor. She's dropped the link in the chat just so you can navigate to that business Grants for Hyattsville Businesses webpage. All right, well, not seeing so many questions. I think we could end this information session a little bit early. I would highly encourage you just to reach out to myself. I will put my email in the chat, or Jim, with any questions related to the grant application process. We're definitely here to help. And if there's anything we can do that will kind of streamline your application process or answer questions, we'll be happy to do so. Jim, any final comments from your side? All right, that's my email.
Sorry, I was on mute. No, certainly, I know it sounds a little bit complicated, the process. So if you have any questions before applying, please reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to provide you some guidance. I think, our experience has been the more due diligence that the applicant does in understanding the project, the easier things go. And certainly, if you have started to contemplate the scope of your improvements, but aren't ready just yet, hold off on applying, because most of the times, a lot of time, we'll have folks who are thinking about improvements for 8, 10, 12, 14 months, many of whom take an interest in the cycle, one cycle, but don't actually apply until the following year. This is a program that we've had for many years, so we do anticipate having this funding opportunity again next year. So don't feel that you need to apply if you don't feel that you're ready or you haven't really figured out the scope of the improvements that you're looking to make. But thank you for spending a little time with us this morning. Dory is terrific. So if you have any questions, shoot her an email. She'll get back to you. And if there's any other clarification, we can certainly sit and meet and go through some of what you're contemplating in terms of your commercial business.
Great. Yeah, thank you so much. And as a last note, we did mention that double dip matching with CIP. Depending on interest, we might have an information session when that grant opens also in May. Again, that would really only be for smaller scale improvements, and it is only if you've never received funding before to consider that double matching of those two grants. Yeah, if you are interested in that, just send me an email so we can have you on our radar, and we could think about having an information session specifically about CIP. All right, well, if there are no other questions, thank you so much everyone for your time this morning. We really look forward to seeing your applications. We're excited about what this next grant cycle will bring, and we look forward to seeing your creative ideas and how you want to improve your building in Hyattsville. So thanks a lot, and have a great rest of your day. All right, thank you, Kim, so much. We appreciate you.
Definitely happy to be here.
Thank you, Kim.
All right, thanks everyone. Bye-bye.